Okay, hi everyone. We decided to call Maxim today to review several sites, and we decided to open the map, go through the top positions, and took 3 sites from Chicago Google Maps in order to figure out what the pros and cons are, so that other people, you can see how simple, with fairly simple steps, you can easily improve the conversion of a site so that it not only becomes your online business card, but also helps attract new customers. Max, so the floor is yours. We'll start with dentology, right?
Okay, let's get started.
Just please speak a little louder. Oh, that's perfect.
Yes. Uh-huh. First of all, I think we'll start by reviewing things from top to bottom, beginning with our website menu. From what I see, the menu looks really nice, and there are additional menus. But the first thing that's a bit inconvenient is that I see there's a drop-down arrow here, but the clickable area of this arrow isn't very big. If you click nearby, you end up going straight to the page. I would make this area a little bigger. All right, moving on.
Other.
Looking through the menu, we see that it's quite long. There are locations, so right now I see that when you open all the locations, you can't see the last ones. You need to.
It seems like there's some kind of error on the right, those up and down arrows.
Yes, yes. That's a technical error. We'll definitely need to point it out to the tech guys who will be reviewing this. Let's move on. For now, we won't go further into the locations. Let's just look at the menu itself. The menu structure is pretty good. There's a careers section. You can tell the company isn't just one person. The main items are displayed, and there's a Book Now button. I would also maybe add the phone number here as well. We see that the phone number is on the main page, but when you scroll through the site, you can't see it anymore. Additionally,
Yeah, you have to look for it again.
yeah, exactly. So either create some kind of icon that will scroll to the phone number or even make it call directly. It's not necessary for users to actually see the number. Let's also check out the mobile version, how the menu and context look. Switching to the mobile version. Let's do it. Here we go.
Is there some kind of error?
Yeah, right. Okay, let's look at the mobile version. I just zoomed in a bit. You probably noticed, and let's check out our menu. The menu looks pretty good. It's big. Yeah.
You mean it's easy to tap the buttons?
Yeah. There aren't any cramped spaces between the menu items. There's a Book Now button. There's Sign In. I'd also add a phone number here. Maybe even add social media links with examples of work, just as an option.
Maybe they're just hidden somewhere on the site, that's all.
Well, yeah, it's not necessary, but sometimes that works too. Overall, the menu's not bad.
Here's a question. I often see very different fonts, and as for the company name, well, I really like this font, but does it somehow affect how the site works or how it gets indexed?
It can affect how it gets indexed if the site uses quite a lot of fonts. When? Because that actually makes the site slower.
Other.
And visually, in terms of design, it's important to use no more than 2 fonts, and ideally just one font with different styles, like bold in some places, italics in others, maybe underlining somewhere else. That kind of thing. but in most cases, if people do use multiple fonts, they usually pick one font for headings and another for the main text. By the way, I see another big mistake. We have a location, but there's no display of the locations.
It's something to select.
Yeah, maybe it would have been good to show some important or top locations. Let's check the transitions. Yeah, well, basically it does transition to the locations page, but maybe it would be nice to show some top locations. All right, let's switch back to the regular mode from mobile. Okay, let's continue. Regarding the fonts, let's take a look at our site. I see that the headings here use a serif font.
Other.
On the buttons and in the menu, the font is sans serif. The main text is also sans serif. Basically, it's okay to mix them like that.
Well, ideally you'd use just one. But here we see two, plus the company name, which, I think, is actually an image, not another font that was used.
Yeah, it's most likely an image, but visually it still looks like a third font.
MHM.
It would be good, if possible, to use that font at least partially on the website itself. Another mistake is that the review section isn't a heading, it's just regular text, but here they also use the serif font. From a design perspective, that could be tweaked a bit.
Can you scroll back up and let's take a look at the images being used? There, no, lower, lower,
MHM.
where there were several images. It seemed to me that they're different in quality. Don't you think so?
It looks like it, and maybe it was even done that way for technical reasons. I suggest we check the quality. Well, not the quality, but the image size that's being used on the site, because most likely they just inserted them and either stretched or compressed them a lot.
To me, the image on the left, not this one, but the one on the far left, seems like it's a different size because I can see that it just doesn't fit in the frame.
Look, regarding the size, we can see that the rendered size is 732. That's the width of the block itself, and the other size we see below, 922, is the original size of the image. So, the image was compressed. Besides that, we see the WP format, and maybe there was an incorrect conversion to WP with very heavy compression to speed things up.
So you mean that there was an image of one size, and they decided to compress it, probably to fit it completely into this block on the website, and it wasn't done in the best way?
First of all, that's one thing, and secondly, the WP image format itself, the progressive image format,
Mother.
it can be compressed in different ways. For example, when converting from JPG or PNG to WP format, it can be done without changing the quality, or it can be done with a loss of quality. And what I see here, most likely, was compressed with a loss of quality.
Yeah, I see.
Maybe.
But the right side looks fine. That's why I was surprised, because it seemed to me that the whole image wasn't displayed. But the photos themselves are great. Listen,
The selected photos are great. Maybe just retake them a little.
let's talk a bit about conversion. But now, how does it work for us right now? Are the fields saved? For example, if someone types something in, you're a new client for us. Everyone wants to see more new clients.
Well, yeah, let's give it a try. Well, it looks pretty expensive. There are a lot of sections.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. There's a record, like,
Any gem.
not bad, not bad. I think this record most likely goes into some kind of CRM. I won't send it anymore. Let me check.
And what if you leave now, like you got distracted at work, and you decide to fill it out a bit later? How would that work? Will it save the fields you've already filled in, for example?
Okay, let's open this same page
Yeah.
in a separate tab.
Go.
In that case, it saves. Now let's try it a little differently. Let's go to the main page of the site and then return to Book Now.
Other.
And here, nothing is saved anymore.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's.
Maybe. Maybe it was done on purpose so that it refreshes every time. But I don't think that's very good. What do you think?
Well, saved data supposedly improves form submission conversion rates all over the world. Maybe specifically, here they decided to do it differently. Maybe it's something to do with how the CRM works, like block time slots so the whole CRM doesn't get locked up, and that's why they refresh it. But if we're not talking about the date, just as far as I remember, there were location and service fields, and those could definitely be saved. So it's not necessary to save every single field. You can start with just one of them.
And here we can even see the time.
Yeah,
Look, we can even see the time, so they're putting some kind of hold on it.
right, but you're not sure what time you're actually booking on this page right now. You did that in the previous steps. So right now, for example, I don't know what time this appointment is for. I see 60 minutes, but I don't see anything else. Maybe let's.
Another thing, if this is bothering them, they could just add a button to start over from the beginning.
Yeah,
For example, okay, go ahead. Sorry for interrupting you.
I said, let's take a look at their paid ads.
Okay, let's go into Ahrefs and check. Let's see what they have on their site in general and whether they have any paid advertising.
Other.
Yeah, okay. We can see that they have, yeah, a couple of keywords. We can check what those two keywords are. Well, that makes sense, but
That's way too broad. What do you see there? They're sending traffic to a separate page, to Floss, but the query is Dentist Chicago. I'm looking for a dentist in Chicago, but I'm not necessarily looking for what's on the Floss page. It's kind of like promoting the home page, which is usually how it's done. Can you open it, please?
yeah, yeah, this is some kind of separate landing page.
Other.
Again, from what I can see right now, the landing page is actually pretty well done. There's no unnecessary menu. If this landing page was for a specific service, not just a general one,
Other.
then that would be exactly right, because the user wouldn't leave our site. Secondly, I can already see the phone number here. Shut.
It's not clickable, right?
It's not clickable at all yet.
It's just plain text.
And another thing,
Here's one thing you could change, and it would definitely boost conversions because people wouldn't have to dial the number, try to remember it, or figure out what it looks like. Book now, that's super cool. And right next to it, a second button with the phone number.
yeah, absolutely. And if someone is riding the subway or on public transport and browsing from their phone, it's really inconvenient. The phone number should be clickable.
It could even be a little dangerous, actually.
Right. Next. There's also the point that if this is an ad on Google, you need to have keywords, specifically in the headline, like dentist in Chicago. That way, the ad becomes cheaper, and those keywords should also be in the main content. Here, it's a bit more general information. As I understand it, They didn't optimize the landing page for specific keywords or for ad relevance, but they did optimize it for convenience because overall, it's well thought out and pretty user-friendly. Yes, it's nice. And in terms of priorities, like who we are, it's clear. There are people who don't want to read at all. They can sign up right away.
Uh-huh. Interesting form. Will it be the same one?
Let's take a look.
Or do we have a separate form?
The same one, the same one.
Hey, but they're not just advertising on Google, right? Let's find their Facebook page.
Okay,
You know, we can also look at more general information. We don't see them here.
on the main website. Yeah, let's check the main website because it's actually normal to display that on the landing page.
Well, right now. Yeah, other, about.
About.
It'll load eventually. And page transparency. And SEO.
Ad library.
Ad library, which helps everyone see competitors' ads, find out how, or if they're using it at all. Oh, here we have it. We have a video. We have. Aha, seasonal advertising related to spring. Perfect time, refresh your smile. Okay. No one is focusing on the problem. It's more about bringing joy, as I understand it. Although, no, there's trial of stressful dental visits. Well, overall, it's there at least. I recommend to everyone that you can look up any company to see what kind of advertising they use. So, for this, all you need to do is find the Facebook ads library, and it allows you either through the company's Facebook page or by going to the website. And if you enter keywords like dentist, dentistry, or something else, you can see examples of other ads. If you're starting to run ads, or if you're just curious to learn about your competitors, I think,
We see.
right?
Besides, we've seen that ads for both Facebook and Instagram
Yes.
enabled. That's also really convenient. Let's get back to the website.
Yeah, but I think we need to hurry up a bit because we've already spent about 15 minutes on just one site. And honestly, we haven't even started the technical analysis yet.
One last thing I wanted to mention is about the footer. There are no contact details in the footer.
Other,
Add contact information, duplicate the map, directions, or at least write the address with a link to Google Maps.
other.
That would actually be even more convenient. Okay, let's look at another site.
Yes. Well, we did make a little queue of 3 sites. I was really hoping we'd manage to get through 3, and then we'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
Dental Group of Chicago. So, do you like having a video on the homepage?
honestly, it's key, it's cool, but it's terrible. Why is it terrible? Because it takes longer to load.
MHM.
If you embed it incorrectly, all the metrics in Google will be lower and the site won't rank as well.
MHM.
And it kind of pushes the main content further down. You can use video if there are some calls to action, like go somewhere, so it's about something. So the play button is for when you want to watch it again, but I don't think people with toothaches just want to watch something about the city of Chicago at the moment.
Okay, look, here's what I see. Right on the homepage, there's someone named Brittany reaching out to us. She honestly says that she's not a real person, but an AI agent. Thanks for that. That's important because sometimes when you're on websites now, you can't tell if you're talking to a real person or something else, but right below that, her phone number is listed right away. Can you get to him like that? Yeah, right.
You have to aim carefully.
You have to aim carefully. Well, okay. Although, if you flip it to the other side, it might get messy, maybe not very convenient.
Right now, I'm not sure. If I click the X, will I close the phone number or the chat? Because the X is the same color as the phone number. Let's try it.
All right, let's do it.
No,
Oh,
something like that. So, there's this thing.
I wouldn't have guessed. Honestly, I thought you were going to hide the phone number. Well, okay.
It's a bit unclear to me too. All right, let's hide our assistant. Again, looking at this site, what I see is there's no phone number in the header. The site header follows us around, but adding a phone number wouldn't hurt.
There's a book now button.
Let's move on. On this site,
Yeah, local med.
the boot panel here isn't as rich as on the previous one, but the conversions might actually be even higher.
Well, there's no personalized design here like there was on the previous one,
Right.
but it'll get the job done. Because if your teeth hurt, you're not really going to care about the shelf. Yes, I'm in Europe.
First of all. And secondly, on the previous site, if you have a toothache and you really urgently need to see a doctor, you're not going to fill out all those steps. You need to get in touch quickly. So here it's actually set up in a more interesting way. Here, there's a phone number right away. It's small, to be fair, but it's there.
MHM.
Here you can indicate whether you're a new or returning patient, your first and last name. Let's try entering something. Okay. And still, there are a lot of questions to go through. And choose a doctor. Choose a doctor. Well, I'm not really sure that new patients should be given the option to choose a doctor.
Well, I don't know what that choice would be based on. If I've just come to the website and I'm a new client, I don't know anything about you. If it's a scheduled visit, well, maybe I'd like to talk to someone who meets certain criteria. I don't know. Maybe I'd feel more comfortable. For example, I've always gone to a female dentist my whole life. Well, for the last 20 years, I've only gone to her. And I feel comfortable with her. I don't want to go to anyone else. And, well, this page wouldn't help me at all, because if her name and surname were here, maybe then I'd make an appointment. But overall, I'm not sure that this.
There's another point. If this is a page for a doctor or doctors, then it makes sense to choose. If we take the whole site, if we take the entire site, there are very different search queries, and suggesting to choose a doctor wouldn't be quite appropriate.
Listen, you just made me think that I need to check something. It seems to me that this was done not for the convenience of the user or client, but for the doctor, so they can immediately book an appointment for them.
Yeah, right. And look, here there's only one time slot left.
Well, that's just how it turned out. Maybe it's a really good doctor, or they're on vacation. We don't know. What could the situation be here? If there had been a previous window that allowed you to choose from all available time slots, and then I would get the information that you're being assigned to a certain doctor, and I'd just see their name, and the doctor gets notified, plus there's one more field in the form. But as I understand it, these aren't the site owners. This is how LocalMed decided to do it, and their clients are the doctors. And it's set up to be more convenient for the doctors, not for the patients. I think we should check the About Us page to see if there's any other way to get to the site in terms of conversion. By the way, did you notice the second site? Ours is only in English. For example, I don't see Spanish. Maybe we should talk about California then, since there would be Spanish there.
Well, I think it would be a plus to edit. And one last thing about this site, I like that there's a pop-up because the form opens right on the page where you trigger it.
Yeah,
It's more user-friendly.
it's clear where you are, that it's not a new site, and you haven't been redirected.
If I was reading something, didn't finish, clicked and want to keep going, I can just close the form, complete it, and then keep reading. Okay,
Hey, does it matter that I don't see a +1 in the phone number?
well, look, you can display it on the screen however you want, but in the code itself, if we take a look, let's check the code. But in the code, in the link, you need to write it with the country code, so +1 and then the phone number. Everything is done almost correctly. There's a note that this is a phone number. Some devices, older ones or certain unique devices people might use to view the site, maybe tablets, phones, or even regular wristwatches, might not recognize this format, or might instead select a different country if they can't tell which country it's from.
Another thought, I can't get over the fact that half the screen is taken up by the city and the phrase, "Your smile is our passion." I feel like there's a lack of a unique selling proposition here, like some kind of universal message about what exactly we offer. I mean, I could have clicked by accident and not noticed Dental Group in Chicago, maybe, but with Dentology, the previous site, there was a message. It wasn't so generic, it was more specific.
That video kind of bothers me too, because even after it ends, it's still not clear that it's about dentistry. You could show the city.
It looks nice. I like everything. But if it were a video of entering the office, for example, with the camera coming up to the office from the street, showing where it is, how you can find us, that would be better. That would make it clear. But right now, in my opinion, it doesn't provide as much information as it could, and it kind of gets in the way by overloading the website. If I understood you correctly, yes.
You could also, besides the office, show some nearby landmarks that are really well known, and then show the office itself. How do you get into this office? That would make sense, and then this video would actually play an important role.
MHM.
But right now, it's just a decoration, a nice one.
Well, it looks good. I like it. Yeah, so here we have.
What I like here is that they immediately have this section, because if someone comes in with a problem, they can quickly get in touch. That's good. The only thing is, there's the location, the working hours, some amount, but no phone number.
Well, the phone number is here. It's on the right
Case.
or the left.
To the right. Yeah. Well, okay, everything looks good.
I really like that Local Med has this option to choose our doctors, the Meet Our Doctors feature. Where else can I make an appointment if they're focusing on the doctors?
MHM. Should we go here?
Yes,
MHM, okay.
MHM.
It's pretty good that there are doctors listed, but these long texts. And this chat, by the way,
Empty spaces.
if I've already closed it, it should stay hidden. It shouldn't pop up for me every time.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't like that it seems there's another person at the bottom, and they could have arranged it like that. Yeah, they could have designed this page differently, and it would be easier to read.
just to read the biography of the last doctor.
Different fonts. Do you see? Scroll up. Look, in the center, on the right, it's written in one font. On the left and right, it's different. The font size, too.
Yeah, that's true. Plus I see uppercase here. I see camel case. I see some text that has both camel case and regular text. So it's really mixed up. It needs to be somehow in one.
The page isn't optimized for SEO. There are definitely mistakes here.
Most likely, this text, from what I can see, was copied from some text editor because it's smaller than the text next to it, and the styles from the text editor just got copied over.
It seems to me this is the perfect page for me to be able to make an appointment with a specific doctor. Are there any buttons here so I can conditionally contact Alexander, Yazin, or Ann? No? There aren't any.
And there's no separate doctor page where you could do that either.
Yes. So basically, adding 4 separate pages for the doctors and one general page, like here are our doctors with brief info, could boost conversion if I want to talk to a specific doctor.
And also, to optimize this page, you could arrange them horizontally. Not 3 doctors per row, but for example, a photo, description, specialization, and so on. And then list all the doctors from top to bottom. That would look much better. It's really hard to read when the text is very, very long.
Yes. Well, as always, I want to talk about paid traffic, about advertising. Do we have any, or are they only?
Facebook,
Getting organic traffic?
Facebook or Google. Let's check Google.
Let's start with Google and go from there.
Let's do it.
We won't look at whether there's any retargeting, like bringing back people who visited the site and opened a form. Yeah, there's no paid traffic.
There is no fee. You can tell someone is working on the site in terms of SEO, but there's not a lot of traffic. I see that the traffic is more or less stable.
Well, some work is being done, and that's good. But there are definitely things on the site itself that could be changed right now so that, even with the current traffic, it would perform better. Just help people a little to make the decision to sign up here specifically.
I'd also like to take a look now. So I see here that the United States is 94, 95%, and I'd like to check the keywords people are using to find them. Let's take a look. They've had some pretty significant changes in their keywords here. By the way, maybe that's why there was a rapid increase in links on the previous chart. Here I see a drop in keywords. Maybe something didn't go very well with the links somewhere. Yeah, I see some pretty good keywords. Let's open the top pages too. Which pages?
I think the main page takes everything. Well, almost everything.
Because the brand. Yeah, because it's the brand, and we can check that it's definitely branded. Well, not only branded, but branded ones too. Okay.
Yeah, cool.
The main page has the most weight, so overall good job. They're working well.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on.
The main page takes up 80%.
Let's move on.
Reviews, contact, blog. By the way,
Yeah, there's a contact and a blog.
no, I mean the blog. I think you mentioned that someone is working on the site and maybe they're writing some articles that help the site rank higher in search.
I see the blog too, but it's not bringing us any traffic. And if we look at it now, it looks kind of very.
Once every 2 weeks or so. Okay. Well, it looks like no one's worked on it for the past month. Before that, I see there were articles every 2 weeks. Doesn't that bring in any traffic?
If the articles aren't optimized for specific keywords, they might not bring any traffic for one thing. Secondly, you need to compare those keywords with competitors and the landing pages. Because if you write a great article, but no one is citing it on other websites, while your competitors already have a lot of citations on that topic, it's going to be tough to get to the top. Maybe the articles here, yes, maybe the articles are good, but they're not being shared further on social media or in various directories because they're not being cited. It could happen that the article drops, well, ends up ranking pretty low.
Let's take a look at least one of them, just to see what it looks like. I just see that it worked.
I would add some kind of image here. I feel like it's missing images.
It looks a bit like it's from years ago. Your favorite chat wants to, again.
Ask me again. Okay. Yeah, what I see here is that there are no images. There are headings, but no related articles or internal links. So the bot might not even know, when it lands on one page, that there are others nearby. I also don't see any additional block grids. There is, however, a phone number and a contact form at the end of the article, but I don't think anyone will get that far. It would be better to make something more visually appealing. Or basically, the same contact info is right here. There aren't enough images and maybe some analytics are missing. Something like, I don't know, maybe some stats on how the incidence of a certain disease is increasing, or what could be.
Yeah, I get it. Like some kind of infographic that would be helpful. MHM. Well, for now we see.
It's very plain, hard to read, and it's difficult for your eyes to focus on anything except the headlines.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no navigation, so yeah, navigation is definitely lacking.
I mean, there are some cool elements here. There's a contact form here that really wants you to fill it out. It honestly says that it's not a human, but that there's an AI agent sitting there. Oh, and what else I remember, the doctors have different shifts, but this page could have been done differently. Multilingual support, it could have brought in more traffic from the blog. Some work was done, but it's not optimized for SEO, and right now it doesn't provide any benefit. As far as I noticed, more than 80% of the traffic goes to the main page. So the main page is working, but the rest not so much.
For example, doctors' names can also serve as a brand for the company. And well-designed individual pages for doctors will work and attract new clients. Let's check on Facebook. Right. There can be a lot of information, so
Again, as I understand it, we're not being technical. We're already starting to go beyond the scope, but I would still like us to try to go through the third site as well. Okay, about transparency. No, it's everything is simple. So, shall we go to the third one?
let's go to the third one. MHM.
Yeah. Well, it seemed to me that the buttons are a bit crooked. No, that's because of the paintings in the background. It looks like the online button is a bit lower and kind of on a different level.
MHM. Yeah, that's true. And the symmetry is a bit off, because below we have this, which is probably the center.
Oh,
If we scroll, the online button doesn't line up.
yeah, I see that. It's broken.
Right.
And there's the word Chicago and under it, Chicago again. But look, there's a message here, dental office in Chicago, Illinois. Welcome to Chicago Dentistry. There is no mention of a job here, as on the previous site, but there is a specific and clear title, dental office. Smile gives a bit more meaning. This smile could be about psychotherapy.
Well, yeah, but in principle, a slogan is not bad, but it's not the main message you should show right away. The main message should answer the reason why the person came. So here, it's thought out more thoroughly. So, what else do we see? We see a menu that has expanded into two lines. At the same time, we have the bottom part on the left and right. I think it could be tweaked a bit so that the menu stretches across the full width.
Okay. I just see that. Oh, we have an online agent at the bottom, and on top of it, there's another button. Somehow, that's not right. Right?
Look, it's 100% raw. I see this button. This button is for accessibility, for people with disabilities, for those who have trouble seeing images and need higher contrast. That's actually a huge plus.
And so far, they're the only ones doing this.
Yeah, especially since this is the medical industry, and here it's even more important than in other industries.
But I see so many.
That's a separate shout out.
Yeah, it's cool, but I see book online once, book online twice, online agent 3, call us 4, start chat,
Yeah, there's also Start Chat. Chat.
which is the same thing as the agent.
Maybe then the agent should be hidden.
Yeah, something could be hidden.
The agent also sends messages.
I don't believe it. I don't believe you're a live person because you only replied after someone clicked on you.
MHM.
Let's not mess with AI.
We wow.
It's really cool when a company honestly says, this is an assistant, an AI assistant. He helps make notes, but doesn't say what's there exactly. A real person, maybe.
If you don't need an online assistant, if there's no one to respond, it's better to just say it's a contact form. That's more honest for people than when you say it's an online assistant, but then just provide a contact form. It's a bit confusing.
So, what do you think? Well, it's a bit hard for me because I see photos on top of photos, but I think there's a name there, and that's cool. But
Yes, are you talking about this photo?
yes,
Yeah, that's cool, but there are some issues. There are way too many extra elements. There's not enough breathing room. Designers say that a lot. There's not enough breathing room. The elements don't have enough space to breathe.
look, even the buttons have different designs. There's book online, call us, book online shares, and then meet us, which is also a button, but for some reason it's just sitting on the chair.
Yeah. Oh, and it even twitches.
And they all kind of interact a little when you hover over them, as far as I can tell. Few, well, a little.
Not quite right.
Well, I just wanted to have everything. You know, I like it when a Christmas tree has everything on it, and this kind of reminds me of that. Although, maybe that's just how it works in this form. Best practices suggest otherwise.
Yeah, there are a bit too many elements, so I think it could be simplified a little.
Other,
Yeah, here the button jumps too.
other.
And again, the text jumps. That's a bad solution because it looks like some kind of bug. The main text is jumping.
Yeah, and what if you click book online? Basically, we're doing similar actions. So, what happens?
It sends us to another website. Most likely, it's some kind of CRM. That's a common practice.
It's the same doctor, we can see that. But let's compare it to the previous site, where the pop-up appeared right on the same page.
Honestly, it feels like there's way too much text here all at once. There's just too much information. If I'm in a hurry, if I'm rushing, if I'm on public transport and need to order quickly, it's not very convenient. Although there are phone numbers there, so you can call back, but still, and it's a bit off from the site style. I see the logo. It's on a white background. I'd also like to take a look at the fonts. The fonts here are smoother, more rounded. Here, they're just standard. That is, it is visible as if we are working between different sites.
Because we are on different websites. That's it. It's just a page for this dentistry on another site.
Yeah,
Maybe I.
Even when it's a different site, you still need to somehow keep the same style.
Yeah, so it doesn't feel like I ended up somewhere I didn't mean to go.
Right. Well, overall, again, the office is shown. I think that's a bit too much.
But the reviews are great. They look like real reviews. Are these real reviews?
Yes, they are alive. When we click, we
Nice.
end up on the map, Google Maps, and that specific review is there. That's really cool, and you can see, yeah, because everyone uses Google. And here you can immediately see that this isn't some random website. That's cool. There are also these kinds of reviews. I don't know why there are two types. I think it's a bit much. Just one type would have been enough. But if these are some corporate clients, for example, if a company gives its employees the opportunity to visit the clinic for free, you could mention that, and it would be a big plus. That is, reviews from the companies themselves, and signing not only the name, but also the name of the company as an idea for a business for free. Yeah.
Here's another screenshot. I think we'll redirect to that same website.
To that same website. And the problem is, it completely kicked me off the site.
Yeah, that's a bit inconvenient. Although, if I remember that it's Jessica, let's check the site's metrics and refs.
Let's go to a refs. Alrighty. Let's add the site to overview. Overview, there are keywords, 98%. That's great. There's no advertising.
Oh god.
There were some sharp spikes and drops on the website. The orange line here represents organic traffic from Google. And here we can see how it suddenly jumped up once, and then it went back to the usual low traffic. We can also quickly check the top pages people visit.
I'm more interested in the keywords.
Yes, but the top pages are also interesting. The home page is the top one. Let's look at the home page. There's also the brand. Yeah, that's our brand.
Right.
It's mostly the brand, but there are also regular keywords, top ones, with pretty good positions. Yeah, it's a pretty good site and it has great keywords with good volume.
Maybe the site is newly made, and that's why it's performing so well right now in terms of metrics.
Maybe, but I see growth.
I even saw the doctor's name as a keyword. There at the bottom. I just saw Jessica there.
Right, yes, here it is. As far as I understand, this is a clinic website for a single doctor,
Maybe.
not a network, nothing like that. That's why it works really well for the doctor here. When it's a network, you need to make separate pages. Let's also check out their Facebook ads.
Well, if it exists, I have a feeling it won't be there. There's a Facebook button, so we can't just skip it.
There's a button. Yeah, and it's right in the center. Yeah, well, Facebook, interesting. It just seems to me that this is more about a veterinarian.
Well,
Information,
something there.
although it's really cute, really cute.
Well, there are dogs that help people calm down. So,
Yeah,
there's also therapy with, well, with horses too. I'm not sure about cats. With kittens, well, there are cat cafes, at least those exist. Well, there are no ads. Okay, let's sum things up a bit. Cool things we saw. What I really liked on the first website was the design. So, even though
nothing unnecessary.
Yeah, it's easy on that site. I'm already filling out the form. No, I didn't notice any integration with external services because on the second website there was only local net, and on the third one I had to go to another site to sign up with them. On the second site, in terms of what could be improved, it's
The video.
the fonts first, the buttons second, the slogan, and half of the main page is just empty space. What else? The columns on the doctor's page, which could bring in additional traffic. If you create separate pages for each doctor and add a book button, that would bring in even more traffic. I think that's everything.
And replace the video. Replace the video on the second site.
Yes.
Well, it's not on topic.
It doesn't help with conversion. I mean, I came to a site about Chicago. Of course, if there was a video about Las Vegas, I'd be surprised. But when it comes to deciding whether to book an appointment, or how to find you, or how to recognize the office door, it doesn't help me at all.
Well, out of all three sites, I still think the third one converts the best because there's a lot of call to action.
Maybe.
I still think it will, but the downside of the third website is that there are way too many details, like background images, just too much of everything. Yeah, I would clean it up a bit. If you tidy it up, remove those double row menus, get rid of the extra buttons, and, for example,
And even just make the background photos.
the background photos, because those are photos from the actual office. Here, if you use background photos, they should be more neutral. And here, when you look at the reviews, you see a gorgeous photo, but it's kind of hard to really see it.
Well, at least the chairs there are comfortable.
But there's a map, which is also a plus.
Yeah, I think we can wrap up. I feel like that's enough for a first review in this industry. Well, we'll see which sites we'll analyze next, and I think we should keep going because, in my opinion, every industry has its own features, some of which are very specific. But at the same time, there are general principles that help absolutely everyone. Google, correct me if I'm wrong, treats all sites the same when it comes to indexing requirements. So, if you create a great blog, it works everywhere. It works differently in each case, but it works everywhere. And that's why having a blog, yeah, on the second site we mentioned that the blog was missing images. That's great,
But it was there.
but it was there, and that's great too. That's why I always think it's great that you're already doing something. Now you need to measure the analytics, check out the Ahrefs tool, look at your competitors' ads, set up Google Analytics, and figure out, is this just your business card, or is it actually bringing in conversions too? Because, as you remember, I told you how we even got to this point. One of my friend's friends reached out to me, showed me his website, and everywhere there was just a book now button. With just one question, he realized the website wasn't working. I asked, how do people find you? He says, I'm getting a call. But there was no phone number on the website. Nowhere. So basically, it was just from Google Maps, and that's it. And the website, well, it existed, and he was regularly paying for its maintenance. So invest your money in the way you think is most effective and measure the results. And if you'd like to get a similar review, just write to us.
I'd also like to point out that what we've just shown is far from everything you can check on websites. There are tons of tools and software that check the code, track how the site is developing, and you can manage many of these sites additionally, monitoring various parameters. This is just the foam on the cocktail you've received. But even these tips will already be useful if you use them on your own websites.
Well, we haven't even gotten to the technical analysis yet. Yeah,
We have.
because I understand that just one analysis would be one whole site.
Well, at the very least, the time it takes for a general analysis. If you go page by page, we could talk for a really long time. Right.
Yeah, that's for next time. Let's wrap it up.
Oh, yeah. Dat